Hello Fiction Sheiks, welcome back to the channel. I'm Joanna, I'm an artist. I like weird things, I like My Hero Academia. Let's mix it all together and make Oddity art based off of My Hero Academia characters. I have been obsessing over the show for a solid 4-ish months and I need to weed out, so I will be drawing inspiration from the character design, their personality, their hero outfit, their quirk, and maybe their dorm rooms to create weird art. Today's character is Tsuyu Asui. Hero name, Froppy. Quirk, frog. It's pretty self-explanatory. She can do basically anything a frog can, including mad hops, superior swimming, climbing pretty much any substrate, a long prehensile tongue, throwing up her stomach, camouflage, and creating a semi-toxic mucus that just stings a little. For the focal point of this display, I wanted to make her literal hair bow. I thought I could use hair extensions to make her hair bow, but I needed something to glue the hair to keep its shape, so here I am making a frame for it out of paper. I am folding the paper to make the shape as canonically accurate as I can. Sue's hair bow is a little bigger at the top than it is at the bottom. This is scrap paper that I cut into strips, and I am not measuring anything here. I am completely eyeballing. Obviously, paper is not going to be strong enough to hold up a bunch of hair, so then I cut wire to glue on the inside to hold that shape. I cut a second strip of paper to cover the wire on the inside, so I would have a flat surface to glue all the hair down whenever I get to that. I haven't done anything like this before, so I'm figuring shit out as I go and hoping for the best. Then I painted my little hair bow structured thing to blend in with the hair whenever I glue that down. I tried to color match Sue's hair as best I could, and mixing this paint was so fucking difficult. I don't know what about Sue's hair color was so hard to figure out, but it was. I mean, I got it eventually. I think the paint that I came up with is pretty freaking similar to Sue. It just took me a while to get there. I had to mix like 3 different shades of green, plus black, plus gray, plus a little bit of blue. And then I had to remix that whack-ass color like 5 times because I severely underestimated how much paint I would need. Sue's hero boots are designed to be an illusion to make it look like she has really big frog feet. So I am cutting the foam from the toe spacers that you get at the nail salon into frog toe shapes. I am going to glue these shapes in the bottom corners of the frames to, 1, obviously hint at frog feet, but also 2, give the overall art some 3D elements because I think that would be fun. This foam was difficult to carve down the shape of and like smooth out the edges because, you know, it's soft foam, so I couldn't really use an X-Acto knife on it because then the material would just bend, so I had to use scissors, but the rounded edge made it really difficult to get a good angle on the pieces that I needed to cut off, so that was a hassle. Here I am doing some drafting to figure out where everything needs to go. I am drawing right onto the backboard itself. Of course, I first put the frame over the backboard and traced the frame so I know where not to put stuff. The 2 big circles at the top are going to be Sue's goggles that she wears in her hero costume, which looks like big frog eyes. The bar across the center is going to be Sue's belt, which I will paint directly onto the backboard. Right now, I'm trying to figure out the spacing of everything. I know what I want the layout to look like. You can see my plan in my little sketch in the beginning of the video. Obviously, the dimensions of my sketch are not the same dimensions as the frame that I'm working with, so gotta tweak some things. This whole drafting process is basically trial and error, just tweaking some things, moving things around until I figure out a layout that I think looks good. And now to painting. Right now I am using Artist Loft gouache paint. I thought this was acrylic and I didn't realize it wasn't acrylic until I had already done a lot of painting. So too late to change now. I already committed. This bright yellow green straight from the bottle is super close to Sue's green in her hero costume. So I thought perfect, good enough. I don't gotta mix another weird ass color. I did have to give it 2 or 3 coats to get full coverage. All of the colors that I am painting on the backboard are colors directly derived from Sue's hero costume, and here I am painting in her belt right now. Now I am using acrylic paint. I mixed white and a creamy skinish kind of color to get this off-white color to match the canonical color of her hero costume belt. I am saying color a lot right now. This also needed a few coats to get full coverage. The circles are just black paint straight from the bottle. Gonna be circling back to the hair bow in a minute. This took a lot of thinking. My original idea was to use a green hair extension, just glue that over the paper frame to make her hair bow, but the hair extension color was not remotely close to Sue's canonical hair color. So I figured instead of ruining a perfectly good clip-in hair extension that I could use for cosplay, which is what I originally thrifted it for, let me figure out something else. And that brought me to my next idea. A while ago, I thrifted a white wig that came with a white strap-on beard because it was like a wizard costume set. I didn't care about the beard. I just wanted the wig. So I figured let me use the beard hair to make this hair bow because I don't care if that gets damaged. So here I am holding a lock of beard hair, which sounds really weird, and I am hot gluing the ends of the hair so when I cut this off of the beard, I will still have a lock of hair, not a bunch of loose strands. That green stain is paint because I was testing that if I painted the beard to the color that I wanted, that it would still look okay, and it does. I know that painting synthetic hair is not ideal because that'll change the texture of it and make it look really weird. However, I don't know how to dye synthetic hair, and also I already had the hair color that I wanted already mixed with paint, and I thought if I tried to dye it, I wouldn't be able to color match the paint that I already had. So I figured, okay, fuck all of that. Why make more work for myself when I already have the color that I want mixed with paint? Here I am mixing that whack-ass hair color and now adding Elmer's glue to glue all of the hair strands together. I didn't know if it would be better to glue the hair locks onto the bow frame and then paint it, or paint the locks and then glue it onto the bow. So I tried it both ways once and decided that it is better to paint the lock of hair and then glue it onto the hair bow. So I would glue a bunch of locks together, cut them off of the strap-on beard, lay them onto a plastic bag, and then paint them with my mix of green. Theoretically, acrylic paint alone would hold all of the strands together, but I thought adding in the Elmer's glue would make that hold even better. Here I am painting those foam frog toes. Sue's hero suit has a whole lot of yellow lines, and I knew I wanted to incorporate the yellow lines into my artwork somehow, and I eventually decided on adding 2 yellow lines around the frame. However, my frame is black, which is great because she does have black in her hero costume. However, none of my yellow paints are opaque enough to paint over black without getting super messy and needing like 5 coats. So instead, I decided to cut really thin strips of paper, paint that, and then glue the paper strips onto the frame to get those yellow lines. I am using Shuttle Art acrylic paint markers to paint my yellow paper strips. I figured that was the easiest way to go about this, and yes, I am getting paint all over the table, but that's okay because this is glass and acrylic paint does not stick to glass. That'll wipe right off. Here I am gluing down those strips with Elmer's glue, and now I'm going to talk about Sue a little bit because I like her. She's so cute. I'm gonna be saying that about pretty much every character because like they're all so cute. Sue's quirk doesn't sound threatening because like, oh, she's a frog, the fuck is that gonna do? But like, yes, she is. Sue is so strong. She's very fast. Being able to camouflage and cling to walls is extremely useful when evading opponents. She can restrain and carry people by wrapping her tongue around them, which is really gross, but it works and works well. I think she has a really good understanding of how to use her quirk and how it can apply to every situation. For example, possibly very minor spoiler for season 5 during the joint training. When Class A is fighting Class B, Sue uses her mucus to cover the sense of her teammates to confuse the beast guy from Class B on the other team, which is so very smart. Honestly, I forgot Sue had toxic mucus until then because she never had to use it before. But like, that's what I'm saying. She knows which parts of her quirk are best used when. Back to the art, Sue always has her tongue sticking out, so I wanted there to be a tongue hanging out of this frame. So I got a small handful of my cat's fur and I molded it into this long tongue shape, and now I am covering it in liquid latex to hold it all together. When the liquid latex dried, I painted the tongue in a fleshy pink color, and I didn't realize that acrylic paint would scrape off of liquid latex, so then I had to seal it with another layer of liquid latex, and then I coated the thing in baby powder to keep the liquid latex from being all sticky, and now I am gluing everything into the frame. That V-line at the bottom there is a frog mouth because she's a frog and I need something for the tongue to be hanging out of, and of course I'm gluing an actual frog onto the center of the bow. I work at a pool during the summer, so I get a lot of frog specimens because frogs often get into the pool. They unfortunately don't always make it out of the pool. And this is Oddity art, so I thought a dead frog would be fitting. That upside down U-shaped line at the top between the goggles, that is her little line that goes over her nose in her hero costume. There is some dead space at the top of the frame, so I drew in that line last minute to fill in said dead space, and the goggles are made out of bottle caps that I had painted to match the coloring of her hero costume goggles. The rest of this video is close-up shots of the finished product. I think this came out pretty cool. I'm happy with my hair bow construction. I know that is a really weird concept, but I think I handled it well. The overall art piece is really funny. Like, it's literally a frog face with a super long tongue hanging out. And you know what? I think that suits Sue pretty well. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more of me, click the link in the description box below. That'll bring you to my Instagram, other Instagram, TikTok, and a whole bunch of other stuff involving me. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!